I went ahead and signed on without you, buddy.
Well, I had to make a last second head call, so
No, that's okay because I'm still working with Yonkers over here.
sounds like they're getting into the brown liquor.
They passed by it. Actually, most of that door is.
Yeah, that's kind of brown.
That kind of brown liquor. You remember that, Bo?
He's picking up bone arrows.
Yeah, this is that Ben Pearson.
Isn't that a takedown bow?
Yeah, it's a Ben Pearson. Yeah, this is the one that's got that twist in the. Yeah,
Oh no, there ain't no twisted limbs.
yeah, I bought it that way though. I mean, I thought I never seen one. I never seen a takedown.
I think we bought
Hang on a minute.
bows together at that deal.
Yeah, I bought it at the flea market or
And
somewhere.
they were all twisted limbed a little bit, and I had one of them blow up on me going into a deer stand one morning and run fiberglass.
Okay, Carol, Arky, and Brenda, and so that one's special made by Mark Zorns for me. That's a handmade bow there. And that one might be too stout for you. I don't know. That's a 55-pound bow, I think. Well, I don't know either, unless it was a little, yeah.
Sounds tough.
Did he have that strung up and standing in the corner somewhere where the sun was hitting it? I hope.
You're actually bending it backwards, but that's okay. Just don't let it go or anything.
Well, no, I wasn't gonna let it go.
Here, let me have it a minute. Put that one back up. Let me string this for her before she breaks it.
Good idea.
Over there. I can't. I'm sitting
This
down.
is going to be impressive if you get that strung from a sitting position.
I know. You're absolutely right. I've decided that's probably not a good thing for me to do. Yeah. Brace the limbs, don't put one foot in. Well, you got to put your knee against it right here so you can bend it, bow it. Here, let me show you.
Hook a toe, put a knee.
Yeah.
Bend them the same.
Never strung one like that.
I won't be able to string it today. I can't hook my toe in it right without falling down. Crap. You'd think I'd never done this before.
We got your wrong leg in the bow.
I do. That's what's wrong.
Put your left leg in there and hook it over your right toe.
Which is my stupid leg.
That's probably what happened to your stupid leg. Stringing too many bows.
Whoa.
Oh,
All right, I got it right now. I just got to get the bowstring back up there. Make sure it ain't twisted.
so that's the stance you gotta do.
Yeah, and I've got a bowstringer in there I usually use anyway.
Yeah, that way looks a lot easier than the way that I was trying to do it.
Help that up.
Morning, Carol.
You're not gonna be able to pull that now.
Try it, but I doubt it. Don't let it go. I can't remember if that's a 55 or a 60-pound bow, but it's heavier than. I would take the little bow and just practice a little bit. It's not got a string on it.
No, so where can I?
See you in a minute, John.
Like Academy.
Yeah, they should have one. I probably got one in there. It's just probably hanging on the rack. That you want you that one you couldn't pull that one back if you wanted to.
I was gonna say these look fun.
That green one, well, those are both. Now the green one's a little stronger. Let me see it. It's another fiberglass bow. This is the kind that you used to get. This kind I had when I first started. Used to get these with H&H green stamps. And but it's a lot. It's not much. It's stronger than that one, but not like these. This might be 45 pounds, maybe. It might be. Hey, everybody, just bear with me a minute. Hey, John.
Sorry, daughter distraction.
Yeah, daughter distraction, she said. I'd have to measure this and tell you what size string you need. Said it there. If you don't,
I don't remember how you.
yeah, you got to get the leverage right.
I can see you. He's so much smarter than Atticus.
There you go. That'll work.
I was like, I just need to figure out the stance.
Compound people, you know how they are.
Hey, I got mine for free. So.
That's a compound. I don't
That
want
one,
to use a compound.
that one's 56 pounds. I think.
He's shooting compound.
Yeah, he's got a guy. Yeah, but if you ain't never shot one of these, it's kind of odd and different.
One of these days he'll get to take his training wheels off and learn how to shoot a real bow.
I learned on a standard bow, not even these types of curved bows.
Because compound bows aren't bows; they're just machines.
Yeah,
That's true.
You get limbs have got to bend for it to be a bow.
All right.
I learned on a standard longbow.
If you give me a heads up, I could get you the right. I'll have the right strings picked out.
We're gonna get, if you don't mind. I mean, I've been wanting to practice. I have to get a target and stuff like that
Okay.
to use in the yard, so it'll be a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to get the strings.
Okay,
There you go, Christmas present.
I'll get two set. There you go.
Christmas want bowstrings, so I can.
Nothing better than buying your kid a bowstring for Christmas.
Yeah.
Kelly needs to go out in the backyard right now and get some dumpling fixings.
He said you need to go out and shoot some squirrels. Let me translate that.
Well, then I've got things to practice on.
I got plenty of them out here. Yeah, I'll get them set up for you. I think I've got strings for all of them. I just got to dig them out of the box.
Lacey went up on the hill when we were back there in the holler and was supposed to bring me some squirrels, but she didn't. She took her kids with her, which was a bad deal.
Well, there's the problem right there. Welcome, everybody. It's a little different start, a little less informal here this morning, but it's all good because it's about bow nares. You set them in there, and I'll fix them as soon as I'm done here.
I got a giant yellow lab grand dog here.
Oh boy,
Aggravating the heck out of me.
get off that leg, dog. All right, guys, you have fun today. Be safe. Be careful. Yeah, go cook and eat. You sound like you're coming down with a cold. Oh, you better not have COVID or something passing around in there.
A sinus thing.
Okay, well, you got that from me or your mom, among other things. We'll say that comes from your mom because it's a bad thing. We'll say you just got good things from me, right, Carol? Carol said, good morning, Brad and Kelly. And John, Surf Bum John said, howdy, ladies. There's Tina. And you just missed my daughter, Tina. She just is leaving. Come here and say bye just for the hell of it, since you're still here.
Bye. All right, love you, Dad.
Love you too. See you later. Anyhow, that was an interesting start of the show. That's a little different than normal anyway. How is everybody this
I
morning?
think we should start every show by stringing bows.
Well, we can do that. Your turn next.
Well, I've got to build one. So when I go to the Afrique.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know. How strong is that going to be?
What's that?
What are you looking for in that? How strong are you talking about?
No, I ain't hunting Cape buffalers or nothing. My buddy is, but that's all he wants for Christmas is a Cape buffalo.
I just read a story last night, or it might have been night before last, by not Hathcock, not Hathcock. I mean, that's a whole nother story. Oh shoot, what's his name? The Death in the Long Grass guy.
Oh,
Capstick.
capstick.
Peter Capstick. And he was talking about just how serious, he was to give an example of how seriously dangerous those things are.
Terry took this picture last spring.
Uh-huh.
Over there, about 20. He was about 20 yards from the road. Don't he look cute and cuddly?
Oh yeah. Look at that eye and that foam around his mouth.
That's like pure hate. That's
pure
what
hate.
he is not happy. My daughter's come into the picture.
Well,
Hey, daughter. Hey, hi, Caitlin. You just missed Kelly.
that picture.
She wanted to see that BOGO picture.
Yeah.
Or
Anyway, he was talking about this guy one of the locals was walking back to his hunting camp or hunting back to his village. I guess he'd been hunting, and he had a spear. His spear slung over his shoulder because most of those guys still hunted with spears, or ones he dealt with. And he's just walking down this trail minding his own business, and then he hears this grunt. And before he can do anything about it, this Mbogo came, is that how you say it? He came out of the brush and ran him, which he couldn't outrun it, of course, but he tried to, and he ran him over to, he said, the way the story read, he was about 2 steps from being up in a tree, and the buff caught him, and instead of climbing the tree, he just plowed him right into the tree like a bulldozer. And then he hit him a couple of times there, and then he hooked him with the horn and pulled him down in the dirt, and then proceeded to
turn him into nothing
with his hooves. He just chopped and cut, and he said he didn't look human after that. And he said it was one of the most horrific things he'd ever seen. But he said, in fact, it took him a couple of minutes to actually believe it was not human that was laid out on the ground. And they just walked up on the guy. They'd been out on a different hunt, him and I think he had a client there. And they just walked up on him. And his gun bearer guy was with him, the native that meeting around the teepee. That's good, Dean. I like that. Yeah, it's daughter day, Saturday morning shine. I need to get her down here someday and just have her in for a meeting. It's early for her, though. I'll just tell you that for a Saturday. Anyway, they before they could even get out of the area, he knew he had to do something about it, because I mean they weren't going to even be able to pass the trail because the buff was still in the bush there. He started down the trail kind of looking for him, and all of a sudden here he comes. Just no provocation whatsoever, other than the fact that he was there. And he said the thing come out, and he put 2 shots in it from his safari rifle, double barrel rifle, and that didn't stop him. So he had just a second to put 2 more in it, and he hit 2 right. He said he was just 5 yards or less away from him, and both of them hit him right in the head, and he dropped. But he had so much momentum going. By the time he dropped, he bulldozed right into and over Capstick and knocked Capstick. That was the last thing he remembers. And so they woke him up later, and he was underneath the bull, and they had to get him off of it. But what they found was he had a lead ball in one of his legs that was down against his bone, and had set into had turned septic, and it was causing him a lot of irritation and pain. They figured that was why he was quite so sensitive. And but I mean, he just described those things. I've always heard that they were one of the most dangerous animals in Africa. And I guess, if they just come at you for no good reason, I guess they are. I mean, I realize they've been hunted for generations and all that kind of stuff, but still, this guy wasn't looking for them. They were just there.
Yeah, they're bad tempered.
But,
Not as bad as hippos, though. Hippos are the worst.
yeah, hippos actually do
Hippos
more
cause more human suffering than anything over there.
Yeah. At least from an injury perspective.
Yeah.
And they don't do crops any good either. I mean, they like to eat melons and that kind of stuff. They'll just wipe that out, but elephants can do a lot of just damage because they're just so big and rip shit down. Rip stuff down. But hippos are supposed to be the worst. I don't know if you've ever seen them on any of these online zoo type things, but they feed them watermelons and they just put pumpkins, and they'll just drop a whole pumpkin in their maw when it's wide open, and then they'll just come down and crush it and that's not the easiest thing to do. But I tell you, those books, those stories are pretty fascinating. It's a really different world though than what I think of today, what we think of today, because of some species being in trouble, most not. Most of it's because of poaching, though. It's not because of hunting. But you know that, and I know that. But it doesn't at this point. It doesn't matter. When he first started in Africa, they could still take ivory out if you had it registered and had a license and did all the proper stuff to harvest an animal. That's never been their problem. Their problem's always been all the dead ones they find laying around with their ivory cut out and left. He told a story. I may have told, and if everybody's sensitive to this, please cover your ears for a minute. But they had such an elephant problem in his district that they were actually culling elephant, and the country or maybe Africa. Well, no, they're not united. The country built a processing plant so that all the elephants could be processed through a plant and then passed out to all the locals for food. I mean, they used them for food and always have, and they actually set up a plant to do that so that they could process those what we'll call surplus animals at this point. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. And I know that sounds, but that's
was
reality.
In Botswana.
Yeah, that's reality at that time. They were
still
do what?
They closed down all legal hunting of elephants in Botswana.
Well, yeah. So they still
kill the heck out of them.
Yeah. Which is really sad.
They've got so many elephants in Botswana.
No, I mean, it's sad that they won't do any legal hunting, but they're still culling, which is one of the worst. You've had to do this before. No hunter, nobody that likes the outdoors likes to cull animals. It's just nothing but slaughter. And
Okay, come on down.
Yeah, John. John said next week we're going to have fletching arrow lessons. Well, we could do that because he can fletch them the old way, and I got the gear to fletch them the new way. Hey, Diana, welcome in. You just missed my daughters. You have to go back and see it in replay. Our daughters, I mean, his and mine.
I got daughters and granddaughters running around.
Woohoo!
Miss Allie Jane. Oh, there's Ronnie. Good morning. Morning. Want to say hi to Tim?
Who am I talking to? Ronnie?
I wouldn't talk to him either if I was you.
He's ugly. I'll tell you that. He's pretty mean.
My daughter just came in with a big old plate of breakfast.
Oops. That's not nice. If you need to eat, go for it, buddy.
They're packing around food.
Well, you're welcome to eat you some if you need to, if you hadn't eaten. John wants to know if you've had any snow yet. John,
We have, but I wasn't home. I was in Appalachia when it happened. So
that's the kind of question that could get
we've
you.
had little skiffs where it covered the ground, and it's 22. It was 22 when I got up this morning. So
How
yeah,
about
it's coming at us like a freight train. I think we're supposed to get snow tomorrow, actually.
Tina and Carol, what's the temperatures up to your north, Great White North Country? Or Diana? It was right at freezing the other night for Diana, I believe. In her case, 0. In our case, 32.
In Manitoba.
Yeah, Manitoba.
Yeah, we've been way below that. We've been in the teens several times already. So
It's a little early for that, but
well, not here.
well, no, not there. Carol says it's 35 and sunny in her place.
Diana says it's nice today in Manitoba. So
But notice she didn't say the temperature.
we had bright red, orange sky this morning. We're supposed to get weather tomorrow. So
That's sailor take warning signs.
yeah, I said something. I posted a picture of the sunrise and said something about sailors and horses.
I didn't see that.
Couldn't remember the saying. It was something about sailors and horses. The horses were on the photos, so
Well, I know part of it. I just know the sailors. Red sky at night, sailors delight. Red sky in the morning, sailors take warning.
well, and if they're sailors and they're in Wyoming, they're just in the wrong spot anyway.
Well, that's true. That's true. Well, it could be like those guys. There was a movie or something, and there was these guys sailing across the prairie in a boat with sails on it. Yeah,
And wheels.
yeah.
Yep.
And somebody I was going to look for your sunset rise picture, and here's a friend of mine posted a book called, and it's a nice leather bound, ain't looking gold filigree on it and all that. It says "Making Marriage Work," written by Henry VIII. Don't think so. Henry VIII. Okay. Why aren't you showing up there? It's weird. Brenda thinks to get your stuff before I do. Excuse me.
Huh?
Wow, do you know there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other Mark Zorns on the internet? Well, there you go. I was going to try to make it big.
That's the picture right there.
Yeah, that's it.
Frosty, horses feeding.
Here, I got it now. I can make it grit big and get up there. Damn you. Okay, let's see if I
just heard. Yeah, let's watch Dr. Pole.
Who's watching Dr. Pole?
The girls are. The grandgirls are. Yeah, let's watch Dr. Pole.
Yeah, okay, that's a good idea. There it is on the big screen for what it's worth. Dean said, should I give a weather forecast for Florida or will it just make everyone else jealous? I don't know. It might not make me jealous because I kind of like cool mornings myself. So
I'm not a fan of the heat. So
yeah, I'm not either. What is the temperature today, Dean? And is it still raining? I know it's been raining there about all weekend.
Go ahead.
Go for it. You're far. Tina's right. You're far enough away to be safe. Plus, I have a rule: no fighting in my chats. No killing, no fighting, no biting, no gouging,
You can't. You no fish hooking.
no fish hooking, no eye poking. We got rules here. That's a pretty red morning sunrise there, I'm telling you.
It
And
was
look there, all
beautiful.
the ponies are hanging out together.
Yep, they're all right there in one big old wad.
I heard.
The ponies and a mule. So
I heard an
punching is
interesting.
okay.
Do what?
Tina said punching's okay.
Oh well, yeah, you can't you can't fight without some punching. But he's far and away enough away nobody here can reach him that I'm aware of. That is something else. I just had a poem or a song or something. I don't know. I hadn't sent you anything last couple of days, have I? That you've seen something about horses and ponies. I swear I just found something I was going to send you, but now I don't remember if I did or not. Anyway, that's what the Facebook looked like, or Mark's picture looked like. Everybody go look at it and like it on Mark's Facebook page,
Or not.
or not. But yeah, but it'd be the neighborly thing to do. Most of the time, sometimes neighbors ain't neighbor. You know what I mean. Sometimes you don't want your neighbors liking your stuff or coveting. No rain today, mostly cloudy with a high. Oh, only 76 today. Well, that'd actually be pleasant,
That's
Florida.
pleasant.
Now, Dean, you've been in Florida. You've lived in Florida a long time. Is 76 comfortable or cool? I bet it's cool. People in Florida are funny like that. And I've lived there, so I can say that. I don't know what the temperatures were, but we went swimming. The guys I went to school with down there, we were from further north, and we go swimming at Thanksgiving no matter what the temperature was. We thought it was warm enough to go swimming. Most people that lived down there didn't think it was anywhere near warm enough to go swimming. We thought it was great that you could go swimming on Thanksgiving. Most pools up here were closed by then.
So David and Christy went to Nag's Head, or went down to the Outer Banks a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago now. And the locals were out there. There was a lot of bird life, and the locals were out there like photographing birds, and
Oh, cool.
they were all bundled up, like had their fluffy coats on and stuff. And David and Aaron, his daughter, were out swimming in the ocean. Thought it was so
Well, they're West Virginia folk.
they
You could look at that two
they
different.
thought it was perfectly warm to go swimming. It's like my grandgirls last night. They come in the house, closed the screen door, left the main door open, said it was hot outside, and it was 47.
Native
I
Wyoming.
said, won't you close that door? Well, it's hot outside.
It's hot outside. Native Wyoming girls there, folks.
Yeah.
You got any boys there today? Owen or
No, we've got two granddaughters. Their mommy and daddy had an anniversary last night. Went down to Salt Lake, and they got a relative flying in today, and they're going to pick them up, come on home. But so we had the kids today.
Geez. Why can I not maintain a thought pattern today?
Dean Sickle. Dean had turned into a Dean Sickle.
47. I turned into a Dean
Is she fighting with the other dog?
She's being a little bit snippy.
Was that her or was that other
It may
dog?
have been the other one, so I just removed her.
Penny's having a hard time with one of the grand dogs.
One of the grand dogs, you say? It bleeped out on me there.
Yeah, one of the grand dogs. The little one. Some kind of one of them doodle dogs. I don't know what the other half of it is.
They said she was a Springer
It's a
mix.
it's a Springer doodle or a
Oh, wow.
doodle do or something. She's aggravating, I know that. She acts more like a yappy poodle than a other dog. Hey,
Kelly's got a standard poodle. He's not yapping, and if he is or she's not,
well, this was one of them minis and they bred it with a Springer,
yeah.
and she acts more like a yappy lap dog kind of a dog.
Or
Although
Springer.
she's bigger than Penny, but Penny's not taken to her. So
You'll have that sometimes. Springers are considered pointers, aren't they?
no, flushing dogs.
Flushing dog. Okay, that's what I wasn't sure. So you ain't seen no. I guess you hadn't had that one out to see if she has any flush in her.
She ain't got no
sense.
She got no sense at all.
That's a shame.
That ain't ever gonna happen.
Oh, that's a shame. I believe Kelly's big dog, though. I don't know that I wouldn't mind having one so much like that. And
well, those great big standard breds are cool.
Yeah, that's what she's got.
And they were hunting dogs.
John says Tuesday was interesting, fishing about a mile off the beach. 2 humpbacks breached about 100 feet from the boat. You sent me a picture just now. Sent me a picture. Well, let me find that.
That's cool.
That is cool, John. Sent you a photo. Oh man.
There's Mike. He came in. He must have been out looking at trailers or something this morning.
I bet he has been. Okay, I'm trying
it was cool and scary.
Well, yeah, it's a little. Do you think they swam any closer to you than that, John? I'm going to try to present it.
I can remember being like out in a kayak with my wife in North Carolina and the dolphins coming in. And they're a lot larger up close and personal than they look like it from far, far away.
Or when you watched Flipper when you were a kid.
And Flipper, there were I think 3 species we saw that morning. There were several hundred of them swimming around. And the big bottlenose dolphins were jumping out of the water like 10 or 15 feet into the air. And I'm like,
Wow.
if one of them jumped up and like landed on the boat, that'd be a bad deal.
It'd hurt, is what it'd do.
I think it would have split our little craft in 2.
I bet it would have folded it up if nothing else. What were you in plastic boats?
Yeah, we were in a tandem fishing kayak.
Yeah.
And they were big. They were rather large, and I can't even imagine being out there with a whale.
I'm guessing John was in a bigger boat. They were breaching through all the bait. Oh, I bet they were, John. That you didn't fling your bait out there hoping you'd hook into one, did you? Take you a Nantucket sleigh ride with bare feet. Yeah, Mike said he was. Mark, he's out looking for trailers.
What's that?
Mike says he was. Oh no, he says I wish I was looking for trailers. Oh, see, we thought you were, John. Oh, there's a couple of pieces of pie left. That's not for Mike, though. Kids just left.
Great Cup weekend.
Oh, is it? Isn't that, wait a minute, Mike, is that the same as last year? I didn't realize they were already the Grey Cup. I hadn't seen it in a couple weeks. I'll have to look for that. Is that today or tomorrow? He meant Grey Cup, not Great Cup. But he's probably doing voice to text in it, you know. He was in a 35-foot.
Bertram.
Same time. Well, I know it might be the same time every year, Mike, smart aleck, but I'm not attuned to that as well as you are. I missed the play. That means I missed the playoffs and everything. I watched them last year. But
Well,
now,
just to show my pure ignorance, what in the heck are you talking about?
oh, Canadian football, their Super Bowl is called the Grey Cup.
Oh,
And so they're, since, you know, it's about to get more frigid up there, they finish
yeah, I'm
up.
a Philistine. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you are. They start and finish up earlier than football does down here because it's, you know, it gets colder than well diggers up there. Where are they playing this year, Mike? And not everybody up there has indoor stadiums. A lot of them do now, I think. But I can remember. I mean, I can remember when they played it. The Super Bowl got played in Green Bay, I think, one time, and it was, you know, sub-zero.
A few times.
Yeah, the frozen.
One of them was, or one or two of them were the Packers versus the Cowboys,
Yeah.
and the
Frozen.
Cowboys had a hard time with that weather.
Well, yeah. If you're not good, it's hard to. Takes a little bit of adjusting.
Ice Bowl, I think they called it.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a lot of slides today, but I think I'll go ahead and throw them up.
Back before they wore face masks.
That's I don't know if Mike's been around that long or not. I was going to say that's kind of how they played hockey back then too. If you can imagine that, somebody with a stick, 6 inches from your face,
No teeth.
and no teeth. Yeah,
No
no
front
helmet. No, they had no helmets and no front teeth. That's exactly right. Okay, guys, where did that go? Where did it go? Where did it go? Is this it? Oh, I got it. Okay, I got it. So Mark's gone, but I'm going to go ahead and throw this up.
I'm coming.
I know. I just thought I wasn't mean.
I had to get coffee and a sausage.
Oh, good man. That sounds good for you. Share screen. Share this window. Share. Da-da-da-da. I'm getting better at that. After 2 years now, I can almost get that right every time. Hi, Kay. Welcome in. Let me see if I'm who I've missed. There's Kay Atwood. Welcome in, Kay. And I think I'm caught up other than that. And Mike says, I'm going.
The Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
This will be their fourth time in a Grey Cup game, and they're 2-1 right now for consecutive championship wins. So they've been. Are you saying they've been there the last 4 years or 3 years? I know they won last year. We might have to discuss that later, Mike. I don't know. Oh, I know they were there last year. I asked him a question. Let me see if he answered. He might have told me this earlier.
Coffee and a sausage. That's right, Tina. It's breakfast.
That's right. That's a good breakfast, I think. All right, we're going to talk
The
about.
only thing that'd be better would be coffee and a hearty steak biscuit.
Oh yeah. Oh, I should send Brenda to get us some right now. but they're already stopped selling them. Man, I'd go get you one, but they've already stopped selling
You
breakfast.
go get me one and eat it right in front of me.
I would. When couldn't you? I mean, that's almost as good as sending you one.
The sacrifice you'd be willing to make.
Exactly. And you could see the juice running down my chin. And
Kay's making biscuits.
oh, well, Tina or Kay, that sounds good. Well, coffee is made from beans, so it's almost healthy. Well, the Norwegians and those people say it is healthy, so I go with them. I can't remember if it's Norwegian or Sweden or which one. It's one of those countries drinks the most coffee per person, anyway. All right, this is the man we're going to talk a little bit about today. And in my opinion, he was a fine American novelist and short story writer. And I wonder how many people knew who he was by the photo. I had to make biscuits 20 times to make them edible.
I know who he is, but I ain't gonna say.
John, I used to make biscuits, and I can make a good biscuits. I can't make a good biscuit now to save my tail. I've got to start practicing again. I want to learn too. I'm ready to have real biscuits again instead of frozen biscuits.
I got to make some new starter, but I've been making sourdough biscuits.
Oh, I know. Now you're making me jealous.
They're good.
Art Carroll said, I can't think I'm going to get another helping of beans right now. Well, people eat beans for Brits do all the time, all over that part of the world. Oh, Tina's going to go get her a biscuit out of the refrigerator. Well, somebody flung a craving on him. Okay, so we're going to talk about, well, after I show the rules, I think. Okay, get back over here. And you guys all know about this stuff. And we're going to talk about Louis L'Amour today. And that may sound odd. And I know we've talked about writers and some stuff before, but I was going to go a little more depth into him in particular. I learned from the Oklahoma Cowboy, Kent Rollins. There you go, Surf. Well, that's Mark and I are both fans of Kent Rollins, and Mark makes all kinds of
I got two of his cookbooks right there in the refrigerator. Or right there in the refrigerator, right there in the kitchen. They're not in the refrigerator.
Right there in the refrigerator, keeping them fresh.
We got talking about going to the refrigerator for a biscuit. I thought you were supposed to go to the oven for a biscuit.
Well, she probably had some extra yesterday or something. Man, he's got some good eating stuff. That guy, he knows how to cook now. I wish I had his stove and he had a feather up his you know what. We'd both be happy. I like that stove of his. So, Louis Dearborn L'Amour, spelled Moore. I don't know when he changed that. I didn't see that in the writings. Just now realized that. He was born in 1908 in North Dakota, USA. And he died 80 years later on June 10th, 1988. I do recall when he died. I thought it was in the 90s, though, but it was a sad day for some of us. I used to read his books. I knew people that read his books all the time, and there was a time when I thought, Louis L'Amour, it's just the same old stuff recycled. And then I started learning just how meticulous he was about his history and just how meticulous he was about the stuff he put in his books and how true it was. And I'm going to read some of that to you in a minute to explain. And places, yes. He wouldn't put it in there if he didn't have facts about it. I mean, he wrote about
he never wrote about a spot that he hadn't personally walked.
Yeah. And he wrote about fictional characters, but he wrote about real stuff, real places, real things, some real events, probably not as many real events, but nonetheless. But he died in Los Angeles, which I thought kind of an odd place for a man like him to end up, but that's where he was at. I think that had to do with the movie work and stuff he did over the years.
He lived out there.
Huh?
He lived out there.
Well, he did. Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. He'd lived out there for a good while because he was really involved in movie stuff, and not just his books, some other stuff apparently. Um, she said the biscuit's not fresh, but it'll do. Well, it's okay. It's homemade. Now to keep it away from the hounds. Dun, 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 the bumpus hounds. He had a pen name at one time of Tex Burns. I don't think I've ever seen anything with Tex Burns on it. I'll have to look for that. He is in Forest Lawn Memorial Cemetery. If you guys know what that is, that's where a lot of the stars are buried. Walt Disney's buried there. Okay, now you're getting ugly. Now you're just being mean. Hot biscuit with melted butter and peach preserves on it. That's just making my mouth water. He was a novelist, short story writer, mostly Western, but he did science fiction and adventure, nonfiction. So he did write some nonfiction. Of course, his wife was Kathy, and she was widowed when he died in 1988. They had 2 kids. He had a military career, but they left something out here. Actually, before his military career, he had joined the Merchant Marine, or he'd gone out. I don't know if you joined the Merchant Marines, but he was a Merchant Marine in that he traveled the world working freighter ships and things like that. And that's where he got a lot more information about things. He soaked up. That's what I found amazing about him. And they talk about this. A Wandering Man by Louis L'Amour is his memoirs. And if you've never read that book, I recommend you read that book. Not because it's going to be full of, gunfights and westerns and dust in your teeth kind of thing, but it is his life story, and it's fascinating because he traveled all over the world before World War II broke out, and he one of the things he did that I would love to do was he was able to go to used bookstores all over the world in places that you'd never dream about doing that. Cities in Italy and the Middle East and India and the Far East. And they have used bookstores too, like we do. And he would find these really old manuscripts of books and stories that you wouldn't find over here ever. And he in his book he talks about that and all the things he learned and how. Well, I mean, for example, he got a real education. I remember him talking about this. He got a real education in just how advanced the Arabs were in the science of the stars, astronomy, math, things like that. That at the same time he would look for books from Europe that had been written in the Middle Ages or after, and how far behind they were in the same regard. So, the Islamic nation or the Arab nations were just way ahead of everybody else for a long time in that regard. Now, they got a big head start, let's just say. Karki, I have a chat rule to submit for consideration. No food talk shall ever be considered a squirrel. I second that motion if I'm allowed to vote. Where did she say that at? Oh, Carol seconded it. Good for you. Good, Carol. Thank you. And it's that time of year, so it's going to be talked about. So it probably shouldn't count as the squirrel. Anyway, after then World War II broke out, and that kind of ended his merchant marine career, as you can well imagine. But he came back and signed up for the U.S. Army or U.S. military, and I've got a picture of his draft card here in a minute, or whatever he would have got when he was 18. But he served in the Army. He was a lieutenant, and he was with the Quartermaster Corps. And he was driving trucks and hauling, supplies to the troops. And he was probably part of that Red Ball, maybe part of the Red Ball Express, I believe it was called, during World War II, where they were trying to hustle supplies from the coast of Normandy all the way inland to the different places where our soldiers needed food and and
I thought he was served in a tank battalion.
no, he was actually a truck driver. He was in the quartermaster. He was in the 362nd Quartermaster Tank Company.
Huh.
And I got a picture of him here in a minute. I think there's something here in this. Oh, I can pick that up. I got another copy of that. But here he is as a young man. Okay, yeah. Here he is as a young man. Here's his draft card. And I don't know what that bottom part is.
With a chin like a blunted wedge.
Do what?
I said with a chin like a blunted wedge.
Yeah.
All of his heroes had that.
Yeah, and well, we'll talk about it in just a second. You can see the trucks in the background. I think, I'm guessing he was a truck driver, but being a lieutenant, he was probably doing a lot of other stuff too.
He was sitting in the passenger seat saying,
maybe, yeah, very well could have been.
Go that way.
But that's what he did over there. He might have done some other stuff. He is carrying a 45 on his belt, looks like, which he would have been as a lieutenant. Anyway, he did that kind of stuff. And I thought I had some older pictures of him. I must have got these mixed up. But here's some later pictures of him. He was quite the dandy. I guess this is when he came home. He traveled about for a long time. This could have been when he was traveling around with the carny or a circus or something, because he did all kinds of stuff. This is a picture that I got off the internet. This is a picture from his Facebook page. If anybody's interested in checking that out, of course, they have a lot of his books for sale. And this is also from this story location maps. I believe it's from the same. No, this is his website. His son runs, Bo, I believe, still runs the website. Now, I like some of his quotes. It's here. This one I pulled out. He said, "Knowledge is like money. To be of value, it must circulate. And in circulating, it can increase in quantity and hopefully in value." I think that's a pretty good saying for today. Anyway, I just like this logo down here. The rest of this I couldn't download to show you, but if you go to that website, there's a map. And I might be able to pull that up in a minute separately. And the map, it's interactive. So if he wrote a book about any place, country or state or anything, you put your cursor on it and it pops up what he wrote about. It's like North Carolina. He wrote about the early Sackett settlers that came into, or the people, that were part of that group, which became one of my favorite series. He wrote 8 or 10 Sackett books, actually, or that were related family, linked to this origin story. Well, the actual origin story was started in Spanish.
20 of them. I bet there was 20 of them.
Well, there might be 20. It's a pretty good list. I was going to count it. I did start counting his books that they had listed, and I was in the 3 to 400 I know of. So he was pretty prolific in that sense. But yeah, there might be 20 Sackett books, but the first one started, and I can't remember the name of the book, in Europe, because his main character was
Sackett's Land.
He came over here on a ship. Wasn't he a Spaniard or something?
No, he was from Wales. They came over.
Okay. I was thinking he'd gotten involved in some kind of, I don't remember.
He came over because he was running from the law.
That's what it was. And he was in a different country. But that's just,
He was in Great Britain. He was in England.
Okay. So anyway, and here's those other pictures. Well, I must have moved those plumb out, but these are later pictures. This is probably one of the most famous pictures of him, because this showed up on a lot of his books when they were reprinted and stuff. And this is just him in a picture out in California. This is probably taken in the Brown Derby restaurant. Don't remember if it said that or not, but there's the sketch behind him is familiar. I think that's probably where he was at. And he says, when a man is one of a kind, he will be lonely wherever he is. Got a pretty good point there. And I just pulled these up. I'm going to talk. I don't have a lot of slides. I'm going to do I've got some other things I'm going to talk about, but I like the Sacketts, and there's these two interesting thing here. I've got copies of these books. I think I've got this larger one here where he's got a wheel lock. It looks like, or some kind of what they call them, matchlock rifle, which is not what you normally think of a lot of times if you watch and read some American Revolution type history of that period, because this is earlier than that. And I really like the one up at the top here, the green one, because he's carrying a longbow, which is they talked about quite a bit. And people don't realize that settlers often use bows, either the ones they brought style like a longbow they brought in from Europe, or a newer bow. But they did that because they can make arrows a lot easier than they can make black powder and gunpowder and shot and stuff. So they would, and they're quieter, just like the same reason the Indians use them. But they did use bows, but these guys were using it because they were still pretty new on the continent. This might be the second. Far Blue Mountains is either the second or the third book, I think, in that series. Sackett's Land, and then this one, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, if you read the book, they're still using longbows. One of them is, anyway. And that might be, well, I have this one last thing. For one who reads, and I always thought this is well said. For one who reads, there is no limit to the number of lives that may be lived, for fiction, biography, and history offer an inexhaustible number of lives in many parts of the world in all periods of time. And I think he's right. I think it gives, no matter what you read, unless it's just, I don't know, unless it's just the articles in Playboy magazine, as they used to say. And some of those actually were had information in them. But just being a reader, it gives you the opportunity to be so much more informed and well-rounded, and just let your mind open up a little bit more. Who are we talking about? You missed it. And you live here, Brenda Pruitt. We're talking about Louis L'Amour. Tina stepped out for a minute. Say me? Say you? I don't understand what you mean. I missed something here, guys. Brenda Pruitt, yes, agreed. The subject at hand is getting interesting. Tina, Madam Chairman, I vote that we table this item at the moment. Sorry, Brenda, I almost forgot about you. I think Tina was holding a hand count. Carol says, my dad had several of his books. Now I wish I'd read them. Y'all do, Carol. And I'll tell you the one to read. If you ever read, just read the memoir book, the one I mentioned first. I mean, if you don't like the Western genre and you don't want to learn about any of that stuff, read that book, because I found it kind of enlightening in just how he got his information, where he went to get his information, the things he had done in his life that gave him the background to write his books. And he did do other things besides Westerns. And a lot of his Westerns turned into movies, but he also helped work on scripts for other movies. And, he worked in different genres. He didn't just do cowboy stuff. And he wrote a lot of short stories that, I tried to count some of that stuff, and he just a lot, and they weren't all about cowboy stuff. In fact, a lot of the short stories probably weren't about cowboy stuff, actually. Let me catch up again. I have a hound howling in my ear. Oh, the squirrel has left the table and is flying around the house. Uh-oh. She could be telling the truth. Might be a bat around here. Anyway, and that's where he was laid to rest. And I put the end on there. It's not the end, but it's the end of my slides for now. But this is his grave in Forest Lawn, which I just pretty good sized plot. I'm guessing that this is probably for his immediate family. I mean, best I can tell, he was married to that same lady his whole life once he got married, which was probably after World War II. So let's talk about that part a minute. Let me take this down. Ian hadn't popped in. I got something special for Ian. I'll pop that down for right now. And that way I can pull up a couple of interesting things here in a minute if I choose to. But let's go back to that. Let me find my notes here that I took. This one is called so this gentleman wrote, and I don't know where this was at, the creative culture Hawaii, called the Vagabond Premium Lifestyle. I don't know when this was done. 2001 looks like. But they did a podcast or a broadcast about Louis L'Amour as the Vagabond Frontier Writer, and it gives some of his history. And I told you he was born in North Dakota, I believe. And he was the seventh child of Dr. Louis Charles L'Amour and Emily Dearborn L'Amour. Well, we know where he got his names now. He was French-Irish ancestry and the son of a large animal vet, local politician, and farm equipment broker who had arrived in the Dakota Territories in 1882. Everything wasn't calm in 1882. There was still a lot of stuff going on out there of the unsettled variety. He was it Jamestown or had he moved? Yeah, Jamestown. Let's see, my ranches, and there he witnessed a lot of other things. Stock going to Montana, and just he got to spend a lot of time just around. He read a lot as a kid. He got to spend his father being a vet and a doctor. I'm sure that education was important on them. G.A. Hentley, a British author of historical boys novels. In 1923, his family fell on hard times, and over the next 7 or 8 years, this is what his family did. Now they've gone from his dad was a large animal vet, and and all the other things I just mentioned, and now they've fallen on hard times, and this is pre-depression, so this was in the Roaring 20s. So I'm not sure if they just didn't save their money or what happened here, but. Anyway, they spent the next 7 or 8 years doing these things. They skinned cattle in Texas. They baled hay in Pecos Valley, New Mexico. Hi, Shauna. I saw you. He worked in mines in Arizona, California, and Nevada, and in sawmills and lumber camps in the Pacific Northwest. And all these places he absorbed. He absorbed the local history, the local customs, the people, and his characters, I'm sure, began to form in these places. And it says that he called upon all this for a variety of his characters in his novels. And actually, many of them were actual Old West personalities who had survived in the 1920s and 30s. So while he didn't use their names, they were based on people he had met and things he had done. And let's see. He talks about Oklahoma. In Oklahoma, he met Bill Tillman, once the marshal of Dodge City. I'm not sure. I think he was famous for carrying a shotgun or something. He survived. Oh, no, wait a minute. I'm losing my place. There we go.
There's a whole movie about Bill Tillman.
Yeah.
That Sam Elliott starred in.
What's the name of that?
I'm going to have to think about that for a while.
Okay.
It came out not that long ago.
Okay.
It's about Oklahoma and, cattle and oil, and Tillman gets killed in the end, which actually happened. So
yeah,
I don't remember. I can't think of the name of the movie.
Well, maybe it'll pop up.
Now I'm going to have to go look.
Talk about Chris. He met Chris Madsen, who had been a deputy U.S. Marshal and sergeant with the 5th Cavalry. Emmett Dalton of the notorious Dalton Gang. New Mexico, he met George Coe and I can't even pronounce this. Del Uvina Maxwell, who had both known Billy the Kid, Tom Pickett, who had a thumb shot off at the Lincoln County Wars, Tom Three Persons, who had been both in the Northwest Mounted Police and Texas Ranger, and El Fuego Baca, which is, I don't know if you guys ever saw the El Fuego Baca series that Disney did, but Disney did a whole series of movies about El Fuego Baca that I have some copies of some of those, and they were pretty good movies, and he was an interesting character. He was a famous New Mexico lawyer who had once engaged over 80 of Tom Slaughter's cowboys for 33 hours in one of the West's most famous gunfights. I've read the story about that. He was caught up. Well, actually, Disney made a movie about that. He got caught up in a gunfight, and he was in an adobe building. I can't remember if he actually had his prisoner with him, but all the guys that didn't want him to take said prisoner or didn't want him out of there alive, so just basically ringed that building and just filled it full of lead for 33 hours. And the only way he survived it was I think they kind of burrowed into the ground and laid flat the whole time and just luckily didn't get shot. He may have been wounded, but they didn't get killed, and they survived the whole thing. And finally, somebody got him to stop shooting, and he finally got out. He met Jeff Milton, also a Texas Ranger and Border Patrolman, and Jim Roberts, the last survivor of the Tonto Basin War, later Marshal of Jerome. But perhaps most importantly, during those he was traveling around the country, Louis L'Amour met hundreds of men and women who, though unknown historically, were equally important as example of the people he would write about in the 19th century. And I think that's that's where he got all of his background and his information. He wasn't sitting in New York somewhere just writing books like, the dime store novels and, sitting somewhere writing a book about Billy the Kid, but in a perspective that nobody really knew and really wasn't Billy the Kid, for a magazine sale or it's sell at the drugstores or whatever they did back then. When he was a teenager, he left all that fun and enjoyment and started traveling around the world, and there's photos of all that. There's something called Louis L'Amour's Great Adventure.com. And, there was a couple of different trips. That was one, that was a 10-month vagabond adventure, but it shaped everything from then on out. And, he was a hobo for a while. And this is actually Louis. He was he did some stuff in the finance world. He was a boxer, like a bare knuckle
fighter.
Huh?
He was a prize fighter.
Yeah, in the bare knuckle circuit around the country. He'd ride into a town and then he'd.
Can I try this one?
Well, you're delayed really bad. Let me. Is Mark
Me?
delayed for anybody else? Yeah, I hear you, but I'm talking over you, I'm afraid. There's Mike Cabral. You got to leave, Mike? Yep, I guess he is. Go get more donuts. I have to run home. You too, Diana. Sorry. Yeah, there's Space Mountain Dave Cantrell. And I'm missing all the chat, guys. You just entertain amongst yourselves while I yak. Carol's trying to help Dave. No longer lives in Michigan. Okay, let me get caught back up. But anyway, he was one of those guys they'd go into a town and just see who dare people to fight and make money and stuff. And then I don't know, maybe he even did it on a professional circuit for a while. But he did a lot of stuff. I think one of the things that really, other than traveling the West, which obviously made a big impression, was his days as a Marine, a merchant Marine in the Merchant Marine. He circled the globe as a merchant seaman. Went to England, Japan, China, Borneo, the Dutch East Indies, Arabia, Arabia, Egypt, and Panama. With rough.
He wasn't there.
He wasn't where?
In Arabia.
Well, I thought he was, but he's not. You're right. He was in Arabia. I thought he was in Arama.
No, no, you said Jesus, and I said he was.
Oh, Jesus. Let's see. I know Wes eventually right about it. He was. So for a guy from middle of nowhere, North Dakota, and worked all those really jobs that nobody else wanted to do. I mean, nobody. I mean, a lot of people did these things like skinning cows. I mean, if you ain't never skinned cows, probably out in the heat and whatnot of West Texas, you probably don't know what work is. I'm sure that was not an easy thing, an easy job or a clean job back then.
Still not a clean job.
Let's see. He hopped freight trains around the country. Once he got home, he did that for half a century. Oh no, he'd met with men who had traveled the rails for half a century. So when I was growing up, we may have still had some hobos. We always talked about them.
They come by my house every day.
On trains.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a whole culture of people that ride
Still do
trains
that.
that still do that.
That's I wonder if they still have the hobo villages and places where
There's a singer from back in your country. Actually, I think he lives in Kentucky now, but he was from up there north of Nashville somewhere, up on the border, and his songs are all about hoboing and training, and
he still do, and he still does.
illegally riding trains.
Yeah. I tell you what, it's probably
Yeah,
not.
he still does that. I don't know if he's still doing it, but he was doing it here recently.
I wouldn't doubt he's not still doing it, at least occasionally. I've read about a couple of people that were riders that would do that. They'd ride the rails for a while, up until at least the late part of the last century. Walking Drum was one of those early Sackett movies, I believe. The Walking Drum, wasn't it? No,
that was about the Crusades.
But I thought that's where the first. No, I guess not. Okay.
No, the first Sackett book was Sackett's Land.
Okay.
Barnabas Sackett.
Barnabas Sackett. I'm looking at a list of things that are marked as Sacketts. They're not in order though.
The Talons became Sacketts too. Milo Talon was half Sackett. So they put them in. They include those in that list of Sackett books.
So here is. Let me see if I can make this show up on the screen. This is a. I lost my screen. Hang on. There I am. This is that page where I got that banner, the compass and the banner. And this map, I don't see how when I touch the states, it's and this is loulamore.com.
Shows all the books that were about that.
Yeah, or at least a bunch of them. I don't know. I will say it shows them all. I think it's supposed to. And I believe this is the one that his son does or has a lot to do with this website or did. Bo, and his name was Bo. I started to say Bo Sackett, Bo Lamore. One of his sons worked with him in his later years, putting things together. Yeah, see, some of these states aren't outlined. They're all the yellow ones have. There's Sackett's Land of the Far Blue Mountains and the Warrior's Path. And you get down to Texas, and there's Daybreakers, Kilo, Kiowa Trail, Lando, the Man from the Broken Hills, Matagorda, and the Rider from Lost Creek. I used to work in Lost Creek. Not that one though. Anyway, I just thought this was pretty neat site, and it's got all these things about him, including audio books. Chuck would like these, Tina. He's probably read them, but I'm thinking about starting on them again, but I got to finish a couple other books first. Mark keeps talking me into buying stuff I've got to read. Right, Brenda? Oh, my goodness.
Here, take this book. The first one's free.
Yeah. Here, and read this book about Sackett. Yeah, it's just a book. He probably won't hook you or anything. Then you end up buying, all 20 of them. And hey there, youngin.
Help me.
Say howdy.
Are you afraid to say howdy?
And then run away. She ain't afraid of nothing.
She ain't
Living or
afraid
dead.
of
She's not afraid of anything living or dead. Fearless. That's fearless.
Fearless Freep. You know who Fearless Freep was or is?
Fearless what?
Freep. Frepe, I believe is how they spelled it. He was a cartoon character. He did he was another name that Yosemite Sam used when he was doing like circus stuff. And Fearless Freep was the one that had to dive off the top of the tower that was 100 feet tall into the cup of water. That guy.
And that was Yosemite?
Well, he was running the show, but he was trying to make Bugs Bunny do the trick. And Bugs Bunny wasn't going. Of course, he never did it. He always got Yosemite to do it. Of course.
Fearless Freep.
Fearless Freep. God, where'd that little memory chip come from? So this is what it looks like. If you guys still, you see the changes, right? So this is his official website, and there's all kinds of things here that he said. In fact, I think they've got a whole bunch of quotes from him. Louis L'Amour with Beau L'Amour. That's the one I think does the website, or at least maybe he's his last survivor, but he's got some saying all the books that they print and sell.
Yeah, so he had two kids, Beau and Angelique.
Angelique, yes. Was that in this?
And she's in, if you've ever seen the Sam Elliott movie, Conager, which was a Louis L'Amour book.
Yeah.
She's actually in the movie.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
What part do you remember?
Well, she's just a gal that's like on a stage that comes in on the stage.
Okay. Gotcha.
But there's three women, and they don't identify which one is her.
I wonder if she was any of his other stuff.
Not that I've heard of, but
that's kind of cool. Disney.
It was funny because in Conager, Sam Elliott and his wife, Catherine Ross,
right?
They're in that together, and then they're in
Shadow Riders together.
Shadow Riders, which was a Louis L'Amour book. I don't think she was in the Sackett's.
No, which was also based on a couple of Louis L'Amour books, Daybreakers and something else, I think. Hi there, girl. It's not afraid of nothing. Why are you afraid of me today?
I'm not.
She's not.
She's not.
Grandpa's tickling her, and she's
not. Yeah, tickle monster. Anyway, some people may think this is a silly topic, but if you read some of his books, just realize that while they're, paperback fiction books, they're all based on real things and real people. And
Dixie Anonymous.
So anyway, I'll get this. Not that I need to. Somebody else may have already done it, but I'll put this in the chat.
My God, I got all kinds of creatures.
Great. Hey there, Boudreaux Campbell. Boudreaux. Hey, buddy. I hear his tail flopping.
Oh, that's other dogs.
Oh, that's the other
I'm
dog.
surrounded.
Hey, Zizi. You remember me?
She's not. She's one that's not here.
Oh, okay. Let's see. What's the other one's name?
Well, we've got 2 grand dogs in Boudreaux here right now.
What's the other older dog's name that you guys have?
Those are my dogs.
Zoe,
Zoe. Yeah. Zoe was a friend too. She was one of my
she's
babies.
not in.
Zizi was
Right down here.
Zizi was right up my lap. Do you?
Jeezy's in Caitlin's lap right now.
Okay. Hi there. You know who I am.
Howdy.
I'm the grandpa you never met. Well, no, you have. Yes, you have. I visited. You were there when I visited, I think. One day, anyway.
She was.
Yeah. See, and I didn't bite you or anything.
No biting.
No biting.
And he
Are you
looks
gonna
like
help?
he bite you. Are you trying to put your ponytail in
I think she is.
successfully?
Girls learn that kind of stuff early.
Flipping that hair right in my face, just
Yeah.
like a whip.
Are you going to go out and help Grandpa today? You're
What
not. That's not what I heard.
about Nani? You gonna help Nani out? There you go.
Oh, okay. Well, that's probably indirectly the same thing. You're not. You're a rascal. I can tell
All
that.
I'm gonna do is burn.
What are you going to do? What are they going to do with you when you get older?
When you get what?
Older.
This one?
When she grow, yeah. I said, what are they
No,
going to do?
it's gonna be awful.
That's what I'm thinking. She's not afraid of anything now. Wait till she can really not be afraid of things.
Yeah, I fully expect her to go like to the Air Force Academy or something and fly jets. or
That'd be
something.
good. That'd be good. That'd
She
be
says she wants to be a teacher, but
well, there's nothing wrong with that. That's an honorable thing
we'll
too.
see. We'll see if that
Right,
happens.
Carol?
There's probably not enough death and destruction involved in teaching.
Well, that could be, but you get the summer off to go out and adventure.
Brenda said, I didn't see the book.
Nothing you haven't seen, babe. Well, it was I think the last one I got. I think the last book that came here was Robert Rorick's.
Well, I didn't have nothing to do with that one.
Right, you didn't.
No, it wasn't me. I hadn't seen that title though.
It's well,
She could be a flight instructor. That's right.
yes, she could. Who said that? Jet
Tina.
teaching jet flying. There you go. That'd be an excellent teaching job right there. She'd have a lot of fun doing that.
I can't. We've got 2 big old swings tied up out in the cottonwood trees, and I can't push that kid high enough or fast enough, or she calls it a swirly whirly. I'll just I got a tire swing tied up out there, but it's tied horizontal, so a bunch of the kids can sit on it one time. And you can grab a hold of it and spin it and swing them, and she'll spin around a gazillion miles an hour and thinks that's fun. All the rest of them are like, I'm going to get sick. I'm going to get sick.
I've witnessed some of that. I saw you pushing them up. I swear I think you had her parallel with the ground and then let her go. I mean,
And she
pushing
just,
her up in the
you
air.
can't push her high enough or fast enough.
Yeah, she'll be running down the roads up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm sure Carol, Tina says, actually, I'm sure Carol can attest to teaching being very dangerous sometimes. True. That is true. But it's still an honorable profession. One of the highest, I think, personally. And
But
very
that's what
underrated.
both her parents are teachers. And,
True. That's true. That's an influence right there you may not be able to overcome.
and she wants to be a teacher, and then Eiley, her older sister, wants to be a vet.
Like Dr. Pole, no doubt.
Well, for a long time, she wanted to be a black veterinarian
I remember that. I remember that.
because of the country vets boys.
Well, that'd be a good.
And
That'd be a
it's like,
good
well,
job.
you can be a veterinarian. You're gonna have blonde-haired, blue-eyed gal. You're gonna have a hard time being a black veterinarian. But
You're gonna have still have trouble selling that part, but whatever. I mean, it can happen.
yeah,
100%, Tina. Carol says that, and I teach 5 and 6 year olds. Yeah, that's some of the most dangerous ones, though, Carol, because they can sneak up on you and you're not expecting it. Jesus, they had a kid when Brenda was still cooking at the school, and at the UT they had one that was all the time threatening to cut other kids' heads off and stuff. And I'm not so sure he wouldn't have done it. Brenda said she never saw any remorse or or concern in his eyes. That's bad. Anyway, I just wanted to touch on this guy, and I've talked before about go deeper diving into different authors, and I don't know. Yesterday I was out and we had Brenda and I had a 3-hour doctor's appointment, and which is partly our fault, though, I have to admit. I mean, as in we like our doctor and we've known her for a long time. And sometimes we all just get in a chit chat about kids. She's raised 3 boys and she's having all kinds of fun right now with them because one's in college, one's about to go to college, and then the third one is coming up. She told us yesterday that when they went to college, she said, I want 1 year where you're out and you're at college and I don't have to worry about, where you're at this night. I don't want to know where you're at all the time. She said, I don't want to know where you're sleeping all the time. She said, I want you to be free and learn how to be an adult. And, but she said, I won't have to worry. She will, though. I mean, hell, you can't miss that. Did you hear about a teacher killed over something very trivial by a student? It's really, I'm sure I don't. You mean in the last few days, Tina? I probably missed that one if that's the case. I have heard of it before, yes. And you're absolutely right. It's not the safest thing in the world.
Yeah, there was one in Virginia, wasn't there, not that long ago?
Maybe that's the one.
Well, I mean, it's been a year ago, probably, or.
Well, yeah, that 6-year-old walked into a school somewhere and shot his teacher. I mean, that's brings up all kinds of questions. What the hell's no? Oh, not in the last few days. Okay, well, maybe you're talking about the one I'm talking about then, Tina. He was 5 or 6, and he walked in and just shot his teacher. And what I've heard, I'm not so sure it was a accident. I mean, I think he pointed down and pulled the trigger, as in more on purpose than not. Shoot, I was at work. Student pushed a teacher this week. How old of kids are these, Dave? High schoolers or smaller? That's a whole nother topic. That's a Thursday night topic, but man, that's, you're right. I tell you what, kids ought to more.
We'd have never done that in our day.
No, we'd have never pushed a teacher.
Well, we had more respect than that, but if it had happened, they would have killed us.
Probably, yeah. Well, I know my dad would have. I mean, he always told me.
Well, I mean, they'd have beat you at school, and then they'd have told your parents, and you'd got beat again.
Yeah, true. That's true. You're right. And I laugh about that, but that is true. But we would not. I never dreamed of pushing a teacher. or or any adult really. I mean, that was just not something you did. This was a high school teacher, and the student beat up the teacher. It was brutal. Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I'll have to look that up. That would be a good another, not a good, but it's a Thursday night topic. Um, but because that's nothing good about that kind of stuff.
What you got there?
I'm not saying it didn't ever happen in my day. I'm just saying that where I grew up, you wouldn't have done that. I mean, I wouldn't have done it, and I was fairly rowdy, but not rowdy in that way. I might not back down from one.
She got reprimanded.
Huh?
Tina didn't
Oh.
dare go home even if she got reprimanded.
Oh yeah. Well, I can't say that's entirely true. I got in trouble one time on my motorcycle, and okay, I'm going to say this, even though she's not here to defend herself. This nosy old cafeteria lady said that I pulled out in front of her. This was at Crockett now at the parking lot, gravel park. We had a gravel parking lot back then, and where we parked. And then how the road came out from around the school, and then the teachers and a lot of the cooks all left at the same time. I mean, it was a mess. So everybody was pulling out between cars. I mean, you couldn't get out of there fast enough. You know what I mean? And so I saw a gap and I went in it, and it ended up being her behind me. And I went up the road, and once I got out of the school zone, there was a big long straightaway there. So I passed 2 or 3 school buses on my motorcycle and went to work. And then think another thing about it till the next day, and the principal called me and wanted to discuss this. And I said, was I on school property when this happened? And he said, no, you were out on the highway. I said, then it ain't none of your business. He didn't much like that, but he called my dad, and my dad came to sit down with him. And my dad said, I have to admit, he said, was he on school property? And he said, no, he was out on the highway. He said, then it ain't none of your business. So I said, I don't believe I broke any laws, and I don't think, I didn't want to follow a school bus all the way up the highway. 3 school buses, I believe it was, all the way up the highway. And I didn't do anything with nobody coming. I wasn't that stupid. But anyway, I was kind of like that, but I wasn't going to hit him. At the same time, I wouldn't have gotten hurt or done anything like that. But I was going to stand my ground. I was kind of bad for that. So anyway, that's a lot more about Louis L'Amour than you probably ever thought you'd know or wanted to hear. But he was a very interesting man. He really was. And I do recommend you read his memoirs, if nothing else, just to read about all the places he's been. And like I said, what I found most fascinating, I think, about that book was his discussions of how different countries treated different things. So I'm getting a lot of difference in here, but so differently, like math and science. He went to countries and read books that were 200 years old that showed how far advanced the Arab nations were in science and math. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that in the Middle Ages in Europe, a lot of that stuff wasn't allowed to be taught. I'm not picking on Catholics, but the church they didn't like science much. Most churches don't care too much for it now, but hey, Francisco, welcome in, buddy. But where was I going with that? Oh, and so he found that to be the books were so different from the same time periods. And he was able to look at that and through this collection of old books he would find in these stores. And that just amazed me because I cannot imagine. That's something I would love to do. I love to go through old books and old bookstores and look at stuff and find little treasures that nobody else seems to care about and hasn't been read and
procure them and bring them home.
Yes, and call them
and hug them and squeeze them and call them George.
Exactly. Hug them and pet them and call them George. And I know squeeze them was in there too. somewhere
and rub your feathers the wrong way, George.
he rubbed. I remember he rubbed.
You're a bad boy, George. You're rabbits aren't supposed to have feathers.
I remember he grabbed, what was the cat's name? Sylvester. He had Sylvester by the tail and it kind of went like this and all of it rubbed all of his fur the wrong way. It was all sticking out over his head. Anyway, that's a whole nother topic.
Well, this was a daffy.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
had on a rabbit suit. And rubbed your
And I wish
feathers the wrong way.
I wish Ian could have made it today. I had a best film for him. Oh, let me see if I can show it. Not watch it all, but let me just see if I pull it up if it plays. Then I'll know if I can do it. Oh, did I turn it off? Hang on a minute. No. No, not that. Well, anyway, I don't have it. But I'll have it again. But I found some very interesting training films from the military that were quite worth having.
Good for Ian.
And Ian would love them. He would love them because they're in that dull, flat, monotone guy's voice, but about serious things, I used to have, and we used to have to sit and watch those things in A&P school because they showed you how to drive rivets and work sheet metal and stuff to the military. That's how they train their mechanics. So we had guys that thought that was a good idea. And back then there wasn't anything else like that. I mean, nobody else had ever done that. So we got to sit and watch those things. And oh my God, sometimes you just thought they would never end. And it was Florida and the lights would dim and half the people in there would be asleep in 10 minutes. I did my best to stay awake, but I'm sure I didn't always make it. I mean, I was that kind of student. I'd fresh out of high school. You're supposed to sit up and pay attention all the time. But it was harder than I thought it would ever be. Anyway. Uh-oh. Now, what am I doing?
Hi.
Okay. I got to get on the right show here. I'm wrong show. Keep your arm around, right? Okay, I'm on the right one now. So anyway, anybody got any? Speaking of rubbing a cat's fur the wrong way, how's Teddy today? Teddy, you want to get up and say hi? Hey, you want to get up and say hi? That's kind of what I got. Come here. Okay. Oh my goodness. He's wore plumb out, people. He's just so tuckered out. Aren't you just so tired? Say hi. No, I'm not going to drop you. We had that kind of training about federal and NYS, so I bet you did, Tina. I'm so glad I'm retired. When I left, the trainings were live through online. Yeah, me too, Tina. But you're right. Some of those things, oh my Lord, they were awful. We did some of our training from in-house videos and recordings, and they were just as bad. Why is that? How is it that they always manage? 8 out of 10 teachers seem to be that kind of person, that kind of teacher. When they want them to do, videos and that kind of presentation, it is so hard. Well, no, he was home, but he just allowed. He was tired. Here's usually the schedule, Tina. He sits here with me all day long, or we sit on the couch, but a lot of times we're right here, and he's in his chair, and Well, I had company the other day or something. They were talking about him being in his chair all the time. Anyway, and then at night we go upstairs, and he's learned that that's when he wants to go upstairs. He lets me know because that's when Brenda gives him a treat. He's very treat driven, and then he lays down and takes another nap upstairs. And then when we go to bed, him and Chloe both get up and start running up and down in the hall. And I hear this ball bouncing off the door, or the door comes blasting in and they open the door, knock it open, or we hear one of them go, meow, and I hear Brenda yell, Teddy, let go of Chloe. Isn't that right? Or although I'll tell you something, he comes away with the wounds. That's not her. He might grab her, but that's why his nose stays cut up all the time. So, he might have been a little bit, tired, but it's not justified, I don't think. Because it's boring subject matter. Mary Poppins couldn't make it interesting. Wait a minute. What's that about? What sounds like fun? Have a wonderful time and happy birthday to your dad. Oh, it's Francisco's dad's birthday. Happy birthday to your dad, Francisco. Okay, Tina, you got to explain this because it's boring subject matter. Oh, well, you mean the videos and stuff. I guess that's true. I mean, they're trying to teach you something you probably, yeah, you got a point there. The stuff they teach in these military things, though, are health, and they're important health. They're important health things. The ones I picked out for Ian. I mean, I wouldn't just pick out any old thing. They were all about how the proper way to protect your. Let's say your. I don't know how to put this politely. Are we up to date on parent slips? Tina or Carol, before I say this. We're talking about having safe sex is what we're talking about here. Because if you're a soldier with gonorrhea or syphilis, you can't be the ultimate soldier you're supposed to be. That's kind of that's how they put it. They don't want you in sick bay because you've got caught a venereal disease. They want you out fighting. At least that's what they said. And they did videos on it, and they were pretty funny. Well, in a way, cats get the zoomies at night if they don't exercise during the day. Yes, they do. Okay, let's see what Carol said. Tina, I get that. Some trainings are interesting and useful. Others are boring and useless and just serve the purpose of checking the box. Yes, they do, Carol. And sometimes the box they checked is just really not that important. Or you just checked that box last year, they did, and you really don't need it again because it hasn't changed. That's the kind that drove me nuts. And I saw something else I was going to put up here. There you are. You got your coat on.
Huh?
You put on a different coat, didn't you? Or shirt?
Yeah, I put a wool shirt on. I'm gonna go start a fire outside here in a minute.
I was getting ready to say you're about ready to go start burning stuff. I think you just taught our guinea pigs about STDs, Tim. Well, just tell them not to say anything to the kids. It's not appropriate for 5 and 6 year olds. But they don't need to know about venereal disease yet. STDs. Carol has a better way of saying it. Anyway, it is time to start winding down. At least it's noon, and I should wind down at noon. I don't always do it, but I probably should. So Mark's going to go out and gather twigs and sticks and branches and have a big bonfire. Oh, well, or a little bonfire. More likely a small
My
fire.
wife's done the gather.
Oh,
I'm
so
just
you
gonna
got to
burn
do
the
the
pile.
burning. Oh boy, well that might be a bigger pile.
It's taller than I am right now.
Yeah, well don't burn
Well,
opal.
I'm not gonna burn it all at once.
Opal's just right
You
downwind.
know I don't believe in white man fire.
I do know that.
So just a little hatful is enough.
That's enough.
And that's Louis L'Amour taught us that.
Yep, he sure did.
Little hatful of fire.
And then we used hatfuls of fire many times.
Yep.
And they work. That's all you need. You don't need a great big roaring fire.
My,
And
my
when you do,
youngest son-in-law believes in white man fire. He likes to see. He likes flames.
he likes to see the flame.
Yeah, sucker will be 6 feet tall flames, and I'm not underneath my cottonwood trees, and I'm like, no, we're not doing that again.
Yeah, I don't want my trees burned down, much less the town.
In the town of Opal, my wife was going to have him come out and burn while I was back in Appalachia, and I'm like, you do not let Jimmy come out and burn.
Tina says it keeps you warm longer and not hot shorter, and that's true. Bonfire gets going. The only thing I've ever found that was maybe good about a bonfire was, I don't know how to put this.
Well, if you're doing a war dance or something, it's
Yeah,
good.
or if you're a college graduate or a college out for the summer and you have a bonfire, they usually involve some sort of adult beverages. And that's, I don't know.
Almost always.
I'm probably, really close to always.
And that's a bad combo.
That's what I was getting ready to add. I'm not sure that's a good combo, but it happens. That's just, it happens. Not that I've ever been to those things or participated, but I have heard. I've heard that people even get so far as to hunt wookalars like that. In fact, I've been told that's the only way you can hunt wookalars.
Successfully. It's the only way you can successfully hunt a
The only
wookalar.
time you can see them. That's when they come out.
That's exactly when they come out.
All right, guys. All right. Tina, you have got, I can tell, you've got the wrong impression of me. Right, Brenda? Right, Brenda? Come on. Back me up here. Oh, my goodness. Well, I've said around a couple of those, and maybe one or two. And maybe I drank an adult beverage, one or two. But not, I didn't burn my motorcycle up sacrificing to the call me skeptical. Okay. Doubting Tina here. Okay, I confess. But I have to admit I was never the life of the party, if you know what I mean. Oh goodness, guys! I hope everybody has a good weekend. We got Tennessee's playing football. I don't know Michigan playing. Is this Ohio State weekend, Carol? This will be a big day if it is. My cousins live in Tennessee now. Oh, do they, Lori Jean? What part of Tennessee? And welcome into the chat. Tennessee plays Georgia today, and I'm not expecting good things.
Oh,
The
Bulldogs, huh?
Oh yeah, then they're just ranked number 1 in the country.
Yeah, they're not any good.
They're not any good, no. Tennessee's pretty good, but they're nowhere near that good, I don't think. I think it's going to be a bad show today, but they're playing. They are playing here, so maybe they've got a little bit of a chance, but probably not good. I mean, Georgia's they're like a steamroller. I mean, they're really hard to beat. They're going to be tough to beat in the championship game, I think. But maybe somebody will. Nobody has yet.
So,
maybe.
Carol, are you saying that Michigan plays Ohio State on the 25th?
Oh, today's Maryland. Yeah. It's a holiday weekend. Okay. Next weekend. They live in Clarksville. Well, Clarksville is about
My aunts will be all over that.
350 miles from here, I would say, as the crow flies. Yeah, are they big Ohio State fans? Are they? I'd like to see your aunts.
They're funny because they're all my maiden aunts, you
Yeah,
know,
that's what I was.
and
I'd like to
and
watch
and
that.
they love Ohio State football and the Cincinnati Reds.
Oh, I didn't know they were
And
baseball.
if you got something planned that there's a game on, they're not going to be there.
They're not going to be there. I'd like to see them in a football game.
And they're just funny. And they go to a few games. They might be going. I don't know where they're playing. If it's in Ohio or in Michigan,
Yeah, I don't know
but
where
they've
this.
traveled. They've gone to some of those games.
Hey, I found one of my missing tools. I'm trying to get it limbered up a little bit. I had it on the motorcycle. I remembered. I carried it there for emergency use. This is a
Oh
a Schrade pocket tool. I don't even know if they make them anymore. It's called a Schrade Tough. And I picked this up on the road one day. I was riding my motorcycle home from work and I pulled up to an intersection to stop and I looked down for whatever reason. I tend to do that.
yeah. Carol doesn't believe in Ohio State.
Well, I have some strong feelings about Ohio State football, but I wouldn't describe them as love exactly.
It'd be fun to watch them like in the same room together.
Wouldn't it though? That would be fun. Your maiden aunts and Carol.
My maiden aunts and Carol.
One thing about it though, Carol, I bet they don't have near as much fun watching the games as you do, and that's a compliment to you. Because Carol does like a good beer, and I'm pretty sure Jane and
Boozy and Sally.
they ain't gonna be doing that. No beers in that house.
No, they'd be. Now they'll go to a good book burning. They'll go burn a Harry Potter book because they're evil. But there you go.
Yeah, that's right. They would. I forget about that sometime.
Two of them would.
Which one was a good find, Carol? Tell me again. Remind me. You're in the money. But I'm thinking Tennessee, Georgia probably. Oh, the tool I found. Yeah, it was a good find. And it's it's a well-made tool. I have no idea.
I found my last one too. I found it in a sheep herder camp.
Really?
Yeah, Leatherman.
Oh, well, that's cool. I don't know where this one was made. Oh, USA.
If it's a Schrade, it's a USA blade.
Yeah, it is. It's even got their logo right here on the center rivet that holds the pliers together. But it's needle nose, which is the kind I like. Although I wouldn't mind having a second pair that were just regular pliers, just because. But I kind of like these. This is probably as handy as, and this is really like a Leatherman. I mean, it's
got blades and saws and stuff like that.
Stuff like that. I heard that calls. I caught that. Yeah, it's got a blade, just a regular clip point blade.
Oh yeah.
And then it's got this hook. I'm not sure exactly what that's for. Cleaning out your fingernails, maybe. Oh, that's sharp. and then it's got this really good file, which is coarse and a little bit finer. And then it's got this screwdriver, which they all pretty much have. In fact, it's got a can opener, which is actually pretty sharp too. So that's got all that on one side.
And a corky screw probably in there.
No, it doesn't have that. It doesn't have a corkscrew. That's I would have to use the old what were their names?
Swiss Army knife have them.
Yeah, but you remember how what were the wine boys' names? Genera.
Gendra.
Gendra. They used I can remember one time when we used
Ball starter.
Ball starter, yeah, to drive a cork out. Well,
Push it down in the bottle.
hang on a minute. I got a small difficulty here. Well, anyway, I can't pull that side back in yet. I'll have to do work on that. But then on the other side, it's got another blade, like a sheep's foot blade, and then a flathead screwdriver and a small one you could probably use on Phillips head. Well, it's got a Phillips head. And then it's got this blade, which might be another file, actually. No, it's a D-lyre, a little D-lyre when you need to measure the small fish.
Really?
Yeah, it's a little ruler. And I think this notch is I think that notch is I think they call that a hook remover, but I've never used one like that. And then it's got this scallop blade. And let me tell you something, but
That'll hurt you. That'll hurt you for real.
that thing is sharp as hell won't have it. I mean, that surprised me when I
don't know how you're supposed to resharpen those things, but when they come to you, they'll hurt you.
Yeah, they will. I can sharpen mine. I figured it out. Usually these that I have anyway, most of them are, they're like a chisel grind in that they're just on one side, really just all on one side of the blade. So this side, you just have to keep good and smooth and no burrs. That's in the dip. And then on this side, you can use a small file or like a steel. Sometimes we'll do it, a little steel. I've got, since we're talking about this sort of thing, this is one of my favorite little pocket tools. Also, this thing's got a little steel on it right here and a magnet.
Nice.
And it'll get down in those little serrations. And then it's got that kind of rod sharpener and a stone here and a coarse grade, like a carbide blades here to get something really rough honed down a little bit. And then it's got the ceramic rods. That's what I'm trying to say in there to finish up. And these are handy. I got stones. I got a whole box of stones and stuff too, but this is handy in a pinch. Sometimes I like to just sit around with this on the couch and
sharpen knives.
Yeah. And it comes in real handy for that. Tina said her brother used to carry one of those.
Yesterday.
Huh?
I had me a little sharpening session just yesterday.
Did you cut yourself anywhere?
No, not that I recall.
Okay. Well, maybe you didn't really get.
I did, but I could shave with them when I was done. So.
I was down here messing with some of mine and sharpening something the other day, and then I after a little while I looked at my finger and I yelled, "Brenda, bring me a Band-Aid." I had to nick myself right on the tip of my little finger there, pointy finger, and I was bleeding.
And those always hurt.
Oh, it's sore as a bull. I mean, I even doctored it and tried to make it not sore, but it is absolutely sore as a bull. Let me finish. Tina said he went to fix some computers inside the TSA. They told him he couldn't bring it through. He said okay, but he had far worse in his tools. Of course he did. That's so stupid. He's there to fix something and they won't let him carry his tool in. That's ridiculous.
Well, that's like my wife and I were talking. She can take knitting needles on an airplane this long, steel knitting needles that I'll guarantee I could figure out how to hurt somebody with.
Yeah.
And I can't carry a pocket knife that long in my pocket.
Yeah, I'd rather have that. I'd rather you had that than needles, knitting needles. You can ram those through somebody's ear from one end to the other and go right on through.
Yeah, it wouldn't be any issue at all.
No, and that's a good point. But I don't mention that because if you do, they'll start taking them up. So I'll have to erase that. Wouldn't want to give them any ideas.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. I don't know how many knives they've stolen from me.
Well, I have been told I can't take something, and I have turned around and given it to somebody I knew that might have been dropping me off, or I've taken it to the little store there. A lot of little airport stores have a mailbox. If you need to send something home while you're traveling, I've sent them home while I was traveling. Done that a couple of times.
I just check it all now.
Well, that's a good
I
idea.
don't, I don't ever go anywhere without like a half dozen knives. They're all in my check-on baggage.
That's what I did when I came out to see you. I checked the bag and made sure I had my appropriate number of knives with me, including that little neck knife. I found my other one though, the one I like better. And yes, I have it on around my neck today. Tina, we used to have to travel sometimes kind of an emergency thing where somebody needed, help on an airplane or was stranded somewhere. And it could have even have been for an airliner that or a commuter airliner. So we would be going to fix something of theirs. And we used to be able to go on with a tool bag, just absolutely full of enough tools to take down anything flying in the world, unless it was something with some really odd shaped fasteners hardware. And you just walked right through TSA with it. And they might x-ray it or something, but they sure didn't. And half the time they didn't even do that. We used to kind of laugh about it because they started getting tough on other things. And eventually, we had trouble with that too. We had to do something. I can't remember how we got. I don't know if they started making us check our tools. I never had to go do that much. Some of the engine guys did. And it was a pain, right? Royal pain. I can remember me and you and your father showing up at an airport one day, and one of us had a pocket full of 22 shells.
Dad had 22 shells and a pistol.
Yeah, and a little pistol.
One of those little pistols. And I'm like, Dad, you
can't go through.
We're going to get killed. They're going to gun us down right here in the halls.
Brenda went to.
We were dropping you off in El Paso to the airport.
Yeah, you were. Brenda went into the courthouse one day this week. We sold that car we had that her mom had given her, and we were told to keep it or sell it, our choice. We thought about keeping it, and then we decided, we wanted something just to have here for emergency get around. We'd get something smaller. And anyway, we sold it, but we had to go to the courthouse and straighten out something on the paperwork. And Brenda was getting ready to get in, and I reminded her not to take her knife in from her purse, and so she had to take it out and leave it in the car. And sure enough, when she went into the courthouse, the magnetometers and everything were right there at the door. She wouldn't have got past the door with it, and they'd have had it. And since it's a fluffy pink switchblade automatic knife, they probably would have took it and kept
it. Here in Wyoming, you could have the biggest hog leg in the planet strapped to your leg and walk in the courthouse. You can't go in the federal courthouse, but you can go in anything that's a state building. I mean, we're concealed or unconcealed carry here. You don't need a permit or nothing.
And you can go right on in.
You just need a pistol.
Well, you do need a pistol. Yeah, you couldn't do that here anymore. Even the local ones don't. You don't carry in when you're. At least I've never tried to. They'll go over, especially if you are going into. What did I have to do one day? I had to go into either a courtroom or something was going on. And I had to go to the courthouse for that purpose, but I had to go. I got all the way through the courthouse and got there, and I had a pocket knife, just a little black Gerber pocket knife that I carried for years. And I got there and I laid my stuff in that box, and the guy says, "Well, you can't take that in there." And I said, "What do you mean?" I said, "I always have. I mean, it's just my pocket knife." He said, "You can't take that in there." I said, "Well, I said, "Can you hold it till I get back?" No. He said, "We got to throw that. We won't give it back to you." And I just reached in there and picked it up, and I said, "Well, the hell with you then." I had to go back. I went back to my car and put it in the car. I'd be damned if I was going to let them throw away my pocket knife.
Exactly.
That just irritated me to no end. That's exactly what he was saying. He was sent there to fix the computers. That little tool was the least of their worries. Exactly, Tina. And he needed them to do what he sent in to do. That gets kind of crazy. I do. I guess if you watch movies, you see that kind of stuff happening all the time. But I mean, come on, give us a break.
Well, it's like, I can take this thing on.
Make no sense for huh?
I can carry this darn thing on a airplane,
Yeah.
and I guarantee you, if I tapped you in the right place with this, down you'd go like a sack of taters.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's I don't get it sometimes. I know why they went with pocket knives and everything, because
they used the pocket
the
knife.
box cutter people. I mean that.
But I don't like it. They could at least let you. In some cases, they could at least let you sign a chip for it and get it back on your way out.
Yeah.
Or mail it or whatever. Tina says the building she worked in, you could bring anything in until one guy brought a knife up to the 10th floor where all the muckety mucks were. Then all of a sudden, they inspect all bags and wand everyone walking in. Isn't that something, Tina? See, we kind of had that problem too. They had a rule where I worked, didn't know it, but when they moved us downtown, we had to learn these things. Fortunately, as long as we had an ID, they didn't check us. So I continued to carry, but there were people there that didn't, because it was supposed to be against the rules. You weren't supposed to carry anything was over a certain length, and it was ridiculous. It's kind of like California. You can carry a switchblade in California, but it can only be about this long, so not much use. But I mean, you could use it, but it's not very big. But I mean, it's just, I don't know. They go about it in such a weird way. Exactly, Carol. God forbid anybody think for just a minute. Yeah, well, we don't want that, Tina. Rampant thinking around the world is not what
it could be epidemic.
It could get, yes, it will grow. And as Arlo Guthrie said, you get 2 or 3 people, and suddenly you got a movement. And then there's, and then it just grows from there.
Got your movement.
All right, guys, I'm going to cut y'all off. Mark's got to go start a fire, and I probably need to stretch a little bit. And I'm starting to wiggle, although I don't feel too bad today. I shouldn't after a 3-hour doctor visit, but I wish you could have heard some of the conversations in that room, especially about her sons. Of course, they would die if they heard her know she told other people that. And perhaps that's seems a little unprofessional, but we've known her for a long time, like I said. Anyway, remember, almost 3,000 people were killed by box cutters. Well, yeah, that's true, Tina. And I get that. I do get that part. I mean, I do kind of.
It aggravates me.
But it still aggravates me, especially in some circumstances. The airplane thing, there's not much they can do. I mean, you're not. There wouldn't be an easy way to get it back to you unless they allowed you to check it there, and they just put them in a box and send them in the cargo bay or something. But that's not.
They could have a little like key box up front that you just put your knife in.
Yeah,
and they lock it up, and then you get it back when you left the airplane.
That'd be a good idea, but they ain't gonna do that either.
Well, that'd take up space and weight.
Enjoy football today. I hope they beat Maryland. I think. Yeah, I do. I hope they do. They don't have the coach is still not there, right? She's probably already gone. I don't think he's there today. But it's all about the rules and not about thinking. You can check knives. Well, yeah, if you check them in first, yes. I just mean if you forget and leave it in your pocket and you get to the gate or get to the TSA.
That's always been my deal, where I just forgot it in my pocket. And I get to the TSA and they're like, "We're taking that."
Well, it's because you and I are have grown up carrying a pocket knife in our pocket since we were about 6 or 7 years old, if not sooner.
Younger.
And it's just natural. And I don't even feel dressed without a pocket knife in my pocket. I mean, it's just something country boys just did that. And because you never knew when you might need to cut a rope, or I mean, they just got used for everything.
Sharpen pencil or whatever.
You know, and you just walk into the airport and you forget all about it because it's just normal. Mark, tell your in Ohio that I'll be watching the game at their place this year. I'm bringing the drinks and some Harry Potter books. Read it out. That's so funny. You just don't know how funny that really is.
If you actually knew him, it'd be even more funny.
Oh me, I can just see that. I haven't met him a few times. I could see that. Oh my goodness. All right, guys. Everybody have a good Saturday. Mark, be careful out there at the fire. Don't burn your leg off. You know,
All
if you just remember, if you catch everything on fire, you may not escape. You
I
can't
might
run.
not make it this time.
You might not make it, so be careful.
I can't run right now, so
That's right. So everybody else, the bear, you're you're the bear bait right now. I've always said that everybody else can walk, they'll catch me first. Maybe not now. Maybe you'd be the last one out. Or maybe it'd be both of us, and together we could fight the bear off. But my husband had to take off his belt.
both ways.
Belt both ways. It was obviously his belt. I said, I think they just wanted the humor of his pants falling down. Well, that could be. If you stood there all day long, you'd probably like to laugh about something too. I could kind of see that. And I'm sure it happens more often than not.
They just like to mess with people.
Yeah, I think there's a certain point where
And they're all surly.
Yeah, they're all yeah. Well, the first thing they do for people like that is send them to the school of how to say no.
Yeah.
So that, anything, that's what we used to say about all the people that worked in Daytona during Bike Week. It's all a bunch of retirees in Florida, and everything you ask them, no. So we asked a guy once, I said, they teach you how to say no when you started this job? He didn't much care for that. He didn't see the humor in it, but you know me, I'm going to ask something. Anyway, guys, I'm going to go. Bye, guys. Everybody have a good weekend. Thanks for showing up. See y'all, some of you Thursday night, some of you next Saturday. I think. I'll tell you this week if I'm going to be on Thursday night. I don't know how many people are going to be around. We will probably get home. I don't know if we'll be home in time, but if we are, I may pop on just to, share a cup or, a glass with whoever's here. Well, I'll figure that out this week. Anyway, bye-bye. Well, keep clicking that button. There it is.